Good morning, good morning. This should have been in the NPR because this is quite a big space for all you lovely parents. For any of the parents that would like any of this information, it will be sent via email, so they also have all this, the resources and the information that they're receiving today. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to hand over to Miss Laura in a minute. We've got Miss Nadine and Miss Pauline. So we've got our French, German and English information on about how to support your children at home with the reading. So some key tips to take away to be able to ensure that they are working through the curriculum and just a joy for reading, I think, in all languages. So I'm going to hand over to Miss Laura, and then you will also get to speak to Miss Pauline and Nadine.
I don't know which microphone to use.
Okay.
Is this one working? Yeah. Okay, so I can see some familiar faces in the audience here. Nice to see you again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the English language coordinator here at Swiss from KG to grade 5. So I'll be delivering information to you about our phonics and our reading program and our handwriting program for English this time. So in this session, we want to provide you with a little bit of information from each of us about the separate languages for early years. Discussing the phonics and early reading and handwriting in all languages, and give you the opportunity to ask us questions at the end. So the main focus we want to do here is in school we have an absolutely huge reading culture over the last 2 years. We've invested a lot of money in a range of different books, so that children in every grade are exposed to a range of different fiction and non-fiction books, and we're really promoting that love of reading. Now, there's 2 skills that are required for reading. So before the children can read in any of the languages, they need to be able to recognize the letters and decode them. And that's what we call the phonics and word recognition. And after that comes the understanding. These can come together. So as children are getting the language and they're getting the oral language and starting to understand the verbal words, if they can hear it and they can understand it, then they can read it and understand it as well. Specifically for English, we've got 26 letters of the alphabet with 44 sounds altogether, and there's over 100 different ways of spelling those sounds. And our phonics program in SISD runs from KG1 to grade 2 at the moment. The handouts that you've got in front of you are just what we're covering in early years in KG1 and KG2 at the moment, and give you a little bit of more information about how it runs in our school. This year, we've adopted one program for all for KG1 right the way to grade 2, and it's called Little Wandle Letters and Sounds Revised. And we've adopted this approach so that every single teacher is teaching in the same way to the children using exactly the same resources. This is this training program. All the teachers received excellent training, and it is based purely as well on the science of reading and going back and constantly revisiting sounds and words and tricky words, which we'll come to in a little bit. So here's some of the terminology that we do teach to the children as well, so you might hear this at home. So our phonics is the teaching of reading by developing awareness of the sounds. So I think that applies in all languages there, the sounds. The phonemes can be any one of the 44 sounds. So the phoneme is what it sounds like. The grapheme is how we spell that sound. For example, if it is EE, it could be E. So the phoneme is E, and the grapheme is how we spell it. When we're blending, that is when we're teaching the children to put those individual sounds together. So for r, makes frog. Segmenting is breaking down the word and chunking it into the different sounds. So it's a very simple one here, but over the course of the 2 years in KG1 and KG2, the children are exposed to all of the sounds, but in a very specific order, in line with the science of reading that enables the children's brains to really adapt to the different sounds of the language. A digraph is how we spell the sounds with 2 letters, and a trigraph is 3 letters. So we begin our phonics program with picture mnemonics. So all of the letters, the children are exposed, we have the flashcards, and there are pictures that go with this to really input it in the children's brains, and these are consistent and the same in every classroom and every grade. So when the children are seeing these flashcards, it's very familiar to them. And we start with the very basic sounds so that the children can begin reading straight away within 4 or 5 weeks of learning of this program. Then we move on to the early digraphs, which is where we spell the sounds with 2 letters, as you can see here, and they are also assigned with, I don't know if you can see this, so if we're looking at the sound in the bottom left, OA, we would say soap that goat. For the E, it is sheep in a jeep. So if the children are struggling to understand the sounds, hearing the sounds, when they see the picture, they have the rhyming phrase that goes with those sounds to help them remember and keep it in their brains. These are the resources that we use in the classrooms. We use sound buttons, so as you can see underneath, these are the CVC words, words with just 3 letters in, and they have a dot underneath each sound. So it's m-a-p makes map, n-ip makes nip. Then when we move on to the digraphs, we have the sound buttons with the zip in the middle. So we say it's a zip in the middle, so m-e-t, and that's how we would say the sound to the children. So same if you're reading at home and you're coming across words with sounds in the middle, we break it up into the sounds rather than the individual letters. So for the r-a-n makes rain. So we chunk it out, r-a-n, rain. We have our tricky words, which the children get exposed to before they have learned the entire phonetical code, because these are familiar words that the children will see in all of the reading books before we've taught the sounds, which is why we call them the tricky words. So when we are beginning reading with the children in the class, in groups, and sending the books home, we have a very comprehensive assessment. And this is aligned with the books that go home. So the teachers will assess the students on a very regular basis. It's not a test, it's not an assessment. It's just a placement test to see where the children are up to, because what we don't want to end up is in a situation where we're sending books home with the children and they don't know how to read them. The books we send home with you, we want them to be able to read fluently at least 95%. So what I would like to get across to everybody is, don't worry if the book is too easy when they're going home. That is what we want. So we want to send the children home fluent in the book that they're reading, maybe with some support at home with the chunking up and the sounding out and the zips of the sounds. But we really want to build up the children's confidence and that love for reading when they're home. So as well as the home reader book that we send home, we also send a sharing book home, which they get from the library. And that'll be a book that you can read together as a family. And then moving on to handwriting, there's a little QR code there with a link to a website, which we're going to be sending this PowerPoint out later as well. Now we're adopting in early years the Nelson Handwriting Program, and these are explicitly taught lessons within the early years, and they're taught in a range of different ways. So there will be explicit in line with our Little Wandle and our phonics program. There are specific ways, and if you look at, I think it's the last page that I gave you on the handout, the teachers teach the children how to write these letters using those phrases, those sentences. So where to start, where to move the pencil, and where to end up. And they are the phrases that we're using in school. So if you're using them at home, that'd be helpful as well. So just if the children are writing at home, we want you to create as many writing opportunities as possible for them. But just make sure, check the pencil grip. They've got the tripod pencil grip, and there are pictures on the QR code of if your child is left-handed or your child is right-handed. Are they sitting comfortably? We use the Little Wandle phrases, which I've given out to you there. And it doesn't just have to be writing. You can get creative. If you're at the beach, the children can be writing in the sand, forming the letters in the sand. I don't know, in rice, in couscous, shaving foam, and we just want to really practice these good habits at home as well as practicing the good habits in school and providing just any kind of opportunity for writing. And I know everything nowadays is technology based. We're doing our text messaging, our emails, and everything's laptops. But if the children can see you doing handwriting as well, wherever you can, they want to be like you. They see you as role models, and they want to be writing as well. And that is me.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Nadine Rashad, and I'm the German language coordinator and teacher for grade 5. Any German parents in the crowd? Okay, guten Morgen, sehr schön. Also ich möchte noch gerade dazu fügen, it's important to make writing meaningful to your children. So if you are getting into the habit of maybe your child can co-write a shopping list, that is something that the young ones really enjoy as well. Then you go to the store and they can help you with their own shopping list in hand. Okay, so in German, it's a bit different. We don't have 100 spelling options. We have 26 letters in the alphabet. And then there are 4 extra letters, which are die Umlaute, R, Ö, Ü und das SZ, das scharfe S, das auch noch dazugehört. So in total, German is much more phonetically readable than English. There's less options of spelling out words. So in total, there's around 55 different like phonemes, graphemes, when we have the ch, st, ch, all these diphthongs together as well, including the umlaute and this SZ. Okay, so here are a few things that we are offering for our students and that we would like to also to extend at home. There's not only one way of reading, there's not only one way of writing, and these are a few examples where we practice with the students at home. In the classroom, the kids have lots of opportunities to practice reading and writing, and here are a few. So, wir haben die geführte Lektüre, das bedeutet, wenn die Klasse ein Buch zusammenliest. In der Oberstufe haben wir da unsere Klassenromane. In der Unterstufe und im Kindergarten ist das die Lehrerin, die jeweils ein Buch vielleicht für einen Kreis vorliest, einen Kreis Kinder. Dann gibt es modelliertes Lesen, das ist in einer kleineren Gruppe, wo alle Kinder denselben Text vor sich haben. Dann gibt es geteilte Geschichten, wo sich kleine Gruppen zusammenfinden und interessegebunden dann eine Geschichte erarbeiten können. Dann gibt es Fokusgruppen in der Phonetik, das heißt, die Lehrerin, die hat erfahren, welche Laute zum Beispiel noch Schwierigkeiten bereiten, und mit diesen Kindern wird sie dann vielleicht das Sp oder das CH aufarbeiten, also ganz fokussiert auf die individuellen Bedürfnisse der Kinder gestellt. Dann die Bibliothekszeit ist super wichtig für uns, weil das ist ein wunderschöner Raum erstmal. Und die Kinder, die lieben es, in die Bibliothek zu gehen, von Büchern umgeben zu sein, sich selber etwas auszusuchen und dort wirklich dann in diese Welt einzutauchen. Die unabhängige Lesezeit, die kann in einer Pause stattfinden. Momentan ist ja die Pause indoors because of the hot weather, so reading can happen during break time as well. So das ist diese individuelle, unabhängige Lesezeit. Und wir möchten auch natürlich, dass die Kinder unterwegs mit den Eltern so viel lesen wie möglich. So if you're going down Sheikh Zayed Road, ask your child to read. Where are we? If you're in a restaurant, maybe the child can read or try to read a menu as well. So if you're thinking, oh, but my child only knows the English letters and sounds, you can be assured that around 70% of the letter sounds, especially the consonants, are overlapping. So if they're learning a T for tiger in English, then it's the T for tiger, it's the same sound. Okay, so once they're learning the English sound, this is supporting the German learning as well. And this is why our bilingual model has been successful, because these language parts, they really overlap well. Now, next, I would like to show you an extract of a child reading, and I will pause it and show you the strategies that I'm using as a teacher to support this child with reading. This was Lara. This was at the beginning of the year, and she was reading the Lesebaum level 1 here. Let's see.
Das Lego-Haus
Lies dieses Wort nochmal genau.
Werft. Was?
Ihr fasst nochmal.
Was?
Schau das Wort an.
Wer. Wer.
Wa.
Wa. Wer. Wer.
Schau.
Wach.
Ist am Schluss ein T?
Wer. Wer.
Siehst du am Schluss
Wer.
ein T?
Wer. Wer.
Hm?
Wer
Ah.
darf.
Ah,
Wa.
gut.
Wer darf.
Gut.
Wa.
Er war.
Oh, sorry. So you can see that she's trying really hard. And the strategy here is that I did not give her the word. I told her, look again. Do you hear the A or the A sound? Is there a T at the end? So that was kind of the strategy. It sounds like there's a great struggle, but you can look at her face. You can see sometimes she doesn't look at the word. She's just trying to figure it out. And at the end, you can see the light go up. Okay, let's try and continue.
Das Lego-Haus
Lies dieses Wort nochmal genau.
Wer. Was.
Ihr fasst nochmal.
Was.
Schau das Wort an.
Wer. Wer.
Wa.
Was. Wer. Wer.
There's some guessing as well.
Wach.
Ist am Schluss ein T?
Wer. Wer.
Siehst du am Schluss
Wer.
ein T?
Wer. Wer. Wer darf.
Ah,
Was.
gut.
Wer darf.
Gut.
Was.
Er war.
Floppy warf das Lego-Haus
Genau.
Oh nein! Sagt Mama.
Warum weißt du, dass die Mama was sagt?
Weil dann so diese zwei Striche.
Sehr gut.
I chose to avoid the battle of why she's under the table, but she still kept reading, and she's finding out here that there are quotation marks für die gesprochene Rede, die wörtliche Rede, und sie hat das auch unter dem Tisch rausgefunden.
Nicht schläfen.
Wo steht denn schläfen?
Schlafen.
This is a difficult word here.
Kali.
Versuch nochmal, das beginnt mit.
Ärgerlich.
Was war der Papa?
Papa war ärgerlich. Du sehr.
Was ist das für ein Buchstabe hiervon?
So here I'm showing her with my lips, I'm showing her a b instead of a d.
Du bist so ein böser Hund, sagt Papa.
Warum musst du das rufen?
Okay, so we're also paying attention to the notation, to the speech marks, and to the exclamation marks. Once the kids know that, oh, here I can shout something, or here I can ask a question, that really inspires them to use intonation for their reading as well. This was in September, and I read with Lara last week. She's now on reading level 6. And she's holding her book, she's no longer under the table, her focus has increased, and she's reading 24-paged books with proper stories now. Okay, so this is a real nice success story that our teachers and you as parents will evidence when your child is like between 4 and 6 years old. Okay, next I have a text that I would like you to read. It is a really difficult text, even for fluent German readers. And the part is that we don't really know this vocabulary. This is not something that we use all the time. We are wondering, how do I say this? Heterotepal. And then I'm thinking, what could it mean? It's nothing I know, but I know what hetero means something, and tepal could mean something else. So I'm trying to look into my knowledge of what could the word mean. And I'm looking at how could I sound this word out. I'm trying it a few times until I feel that I found the fluency to read that. Now, this is an adult text or a text for mature readers. We need to be aware that our children experience such like blocks or such images that are incomprehensible for them, even when they're reading very simple text, just like Lara did. So they really need to decode, they need to fall back onto phonics knowledge that they have, or maybe even on word understanding. So in order to understand that, first we need to decode, then we need to try and understand what it even means. The highest, let's say, achievement of using language is when we can talk about it. So if I could talk now about the content, oh, this was about those plants. And then the further up level would be if I can write a similar text, or if I can put my conclusion of this read text into own words. What always helps is looking at the pictures. So making a connection between image and text is really important. Sometimes your child will come home with a book and all they want to do is look at the pictures, and all you want to do is them reading. And I would like to just highlight the fact that looking at pictures and trying to understand what's happening in the story based on only the pictures is just as meaningful as trying to struggle through the words for the children. One thing that children like is reading the words that they already know. And you, as a parent, you read the words that you know your child hasn't maybe come across yet, or you feel that there's a struggle. Not every child is able to struggle through words like Lara did. Some children have a lower resilience and they will give up or they walk away. So you can keep the child within the story by reading the parts that you feel it's going to be a struggle. Choose your battles. Not every word needs to be read by the child. Reading to a child and feeling that emotional connection to you sometimes really breaks the barrier and allows then a little more struggle. Like for Lara, I know when I walk into their house, she just wants to spend time with me. And then reading can be part of that. But mostly what your child will want is spending that time with you in a meaningful way, maybe sitting on your lap, maybe cuddling in bed. So if you are incorporating that and not extracting reading as a task, then I hope that you will be more successful in engaging your child in trying to read themselves. Okay, so this part was about the third point at the beginning of the slide, how you could try and read with your child at home. Back to you.
Good morning, my name is Pauline Joseph et je suis la coordinatrice de français de pre-K à grade 2. Est-ce qu'il y a des parents dont les enfants sont dans le système bilingue français? Ok. Alors, so first I'm going to talk about the objectives that we are working on at the end of KG2. Then how we are teaching reading, and then the homework we give home and how you can help. So this is the objective that we aim the students to master at the end of KG2. So there is a little difference also with German and English. So some of the kids are able to read some books at the end of KG2, but most of the teaching of the reading is in grade 1. In KG2 is And we start also already a little bit in KG1 is, like my colleagues have said, la reconnaissance phonologique, reconnaître le son oralement, pour pouvoir le situer dans un mot, identifier des syllabes. En anglais, ils font lettre par lettre. Par exemple, cat, k, a, t, cat. In French, we don't do that. We do in syllables, like maison, maison. So it's a different approach. So we also we are working on for them to repérer les phonèmes et les sons dans les mots, pouvoir les positionner, pouvoir à la fin de KG2 reconnaître ces sons dans certains mots, pouvoir couper un mot en syllabes, pouvoir également comprendre une histoire, pouvoir prédire ce qui va se passer, émettre des hypothèses. Donc c'est pas que la syllabique, c'est pas que le décodage, pardon, c'est aussi la compréhension. Ok, alors ICSD en KG2 et KG1 aussi, on étudie les sons, donc reconnaissance auditive, positionnement dans le mot et lecture de syllabes. Ensuite, la lecture de petits mots. Dès le début de KG2, on introduit les mots-outils parce que ce sont des mots qu'on retrouve voilà, partout. Ensuite, donc la lecture de mots, les leçons sur le son, c'est rarement en grand groupe. Ça dépend des classes et ça dépend des besoins des enfants. Mais plus c'est en petits groupes, mieux c'est. Ensuite, on a la lecture guidée, la lecture pour le plaisir, l'exploration d'albums. Donc, ils étudient des albums en anglais et on essaye le plus possible d'étudier les mêmes albums en français pour travailler le vocabulaire. Ensuite, l'écoute de la lecture par adulte, parfois en classe par le professeur ou sur CD ou sur des sites en ligne et la lecture partagée. Ok, donc les devoirs donnés en KG2, c'est par exemple des petites syllabes à lire en fonction des sons, toujours en rapport avec les sons qui ont été vus en classe, des petits mots à lire. En fonction des besoins et des niveaux, il y a aussi des petits textes et le livre à lire. Alors le livre à lire, comme ma collègue a dit, on ne s'attend pas à ce que l'enfant puisse lire tous les mots du livre. Parfois, ces mots comprennent des sons qui n'ont pas encore été travaillés. Donc, c'est vraiment la lecture avec l'adulte. Et donc, voilà. Et les supports des devoirs sont différenciés en fonction des besoins des enfants parce que à la fin KG2, il y a des enfants qui savent lire des livres. Donc voilà, par exemple ici, c'est le genre de petit exercice qui est donné, de la lecture de syllabes, de petits mots et parfois donc de petits textes ainsi. Ça, c'est les petits textes avec les mots-outils ici en haut à droite. Et puis on a la lecture de petits livres où, comme mes collègues ont dit, il y a l'image qui peut aider. Alors, ça, c'est le type de questions que vous pouvez poser quand les enfants sont en train de lire les syllabes et les mots. Lui demander quelle syllabe tu entends au début de ce mot, au milieu, à la fin. Dans le mot banane, où entends-tu le na? Connais-tu d'autres mots où tu entends na? Donc voilà, et ça n'est pas obligé d'être des questions pendant les devoirs. Vous pouvez poser ces questions à n'importe quel moment. Quand ils lisent les petits mots, ne pas hésiter à aider, à couper le mot en syllabes, mettre votre doigt pour aider, parce que parfois, à N, on le lit en, mais parfois non, il faut le couper. Donc voilà, on peut aider les enfants à décoder les mots simples. Et ensuite, les types de questions que vous pouvez poser pendant la lecture d'une histoire, que ce soit celle du devoir ou n'importe quelle histoire, c'est demander d'identifier les décors, les personnages, les événements, le moment où ça se passe, poser des questions pour vérifier il ou elle a compris, lui apprendre à faire des déductions. Tiens, à ton avis, pourquoi il est parti? Est-ce qu'il est fâché? Est-ce qu'il a peur? Lui demander de prédire, à ton avis, que va-t-il se passer? Pourquoi penses-tu ça? Ah, moi je pense ça, qu'est-ce que tu en penses? Après, faire raconter l'histoire ou parler du personnage qu'il a préféré ou penser, essayer d'expliquer à son avis ce que le personnage ressent et pourquoi. Évidemment, expliquer les nouveaux mots de vocabulaire et n'hésitez pas à peut-être garder un petit carnet où vous écrivez les mots et de temps en temps revenir sur ces mots-là parce qu'un mot, il faut qu'un enfant l'entende plus de 60 fois pour qu'il le retienne. Donc voilà, ça, j'ai des élèves qui sont en grade 2 et qui font encore ça et ça permet de gros progrès dans le vocabulaire. Et puis ici, je vais répéter ce que mes collègues ont dit, comment vous pouvez donner l'envie d'apprendre aux enfants, c'est proposer de nombreux moments de lecture autres que les devoirs. Faire de la lecture un moment agréable, intégrer la lecture dans sa routine quotidienne. Peut-être, voilà, chaque soir, évidemment, on le fait souvent, mais chaque soir avant d'aller dormir ou le week-end, le matin. L'emmener à la bibliothèque, faire écouter des livres audio, des comptines, des chansons. Ensuite, rendre la lecture amusante en utilisant, en faisant des actions, en mimant, en utilisant différentes voix, etc. Et lui présenter différents types d'écrits. Bon, évidemment, à cet âge-là, ils aiment les histoires, mais un livre de recettes, un livre sur les planètes, etc., des livres explicatifs sont toujours... les enfants les demandent toujours et voilà, montrer l'exemple le plus souvent possible. OK, I am done. Thank you.
I have one little tip as well that I forgot previously. It's very important that children sometimes get the chance to read those little books, the daily readers, twice. So we think, oh, they read it, let's put it back. You should take it back out. And second reading really supports the children to recognize these words, because a lot of the words are like images that they don't decode, but they remember, oh, this was the word Schwester zum Beispiel. It's not a word that they will try and decode so many times, but they know that, oh, this is the word that was Schwester. And the more they see it, the more they will recognize it, the faster, like a picture. Later on, if the children have seen a word so many times, if they write it wrong by themselves, their brain will kind of tell him, but something's wrong here, that's not what it looked like. Sometimes when we are spelling, or when we adults are trying to spell, and we are unsure what does it look like, we write it both ways, or three ways, and then we go like, oh yes, that's, your brain gives you the hint, that's what it looks like in the books. So second reading is really important.
It's really important, like, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and have all our language teachers. We've got the English, we've got the German, and we've got the French. I certainly think that we need to also incorporate Arabic as well. And I think more workshops and more information, and I know there's a few of you here today, but this information will all be shared with parents. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what language we're speaking in, you know, we need to expose them. And there's the key tips in every single language that we're teaching at Swiss. And it is that joy for reading. And as parents, and I think I said this back in term 1, it's not an easy task to teach your children how to read, and it can be quite stressful because it's hard. So it's kind of recognizing that it's an enjoyable approach, and it is, you are the role models as much as we are as teachers, and giving those key tips of how to support is essential. I know that I was one of 4 and my mum had no patience with me, and it put me off for nearly dear life. And then I had the extra support. So it is making it enjoyable. It is about not sitting there on one book and you open the page and they're already rolling around the floor thinking, how long is this experience going to last me? It's about putting the timer on and working it out for you as as a family and for your child what works best using these key tips, because as we know, I mean, English is probably the most difficult one. Listening to, yeah, Nadine's going, yes, the British language there. And then you've got the German and the French, and they've all got slightly different coding. But again, it's breaking it down as for them and the practice and you reading to them. Thank you very much. Has anybody got any questions or anything that you'd like from our team that we can take back and maybe add to this, or anything that you require before sending out to parents? Yes. Yes, we've had lots of discussion about handwriting. That's totally normal, whether you're learning one language or not. It's called mirror writing as well. So children learn to write in a particular way, whether it's the French, and then even if like you put a mirror up, sometimes they do it backwards as well. How we are working on our handwriting to be able to support them so they're basically progressive in all languages is that we're just doing the single formation, because I know in French they do the precursive, and in fact even in the English, when I put it in the English language, and I think German, they have the capital letters, so it is complex. So for early stages of writing, we're just keeping to the formation, a simple formation, because you can add your precursive later, or the capital letters they can do combined. So we're trying to keep it as simple as we can, and there's no wrong. Children will write in different ways. It's even in the handwriting, go, oh, that's fantastic. Remember, we do it this way for now, and then we'll have more information. So for early stages of writing, you don't want to put them off because it is quite complicated, and also with their hand grip, and it's all to do with their gross motor and their fine motor, because that's quite hard, you know, when they're holding the pen in a different way, and then. So it's basically just encouraging them to write as much as possible. Like I said, the beach, the sand in different formats. And again, we'll probably, when we come, because we're coming to the end of this, what is it, 6 weeks? 7 weeks? Before the end of this term, and there's a push, there's no rest for the wicked, and then there's a holiday that you want to keep basically persevering and exposing their knowledge. But we'll certainly ensure that we'll keep doing these workshops. I was sitting there today thinking this wasn't the best kind of format in an auditorium with all of us, and I think probably like smaller workshops, so there's more hands-on experience. So we're always looking to be able to give you more information as parents, and I hope this is a really good foundation that we can send out. Yeah. Anything else? Yep. Oh, the comprehension.
Okay, so this has to do because your child is very busy with their heads or in their brain to decode and to make sure that they say the right sound. So when I was showing you that slide with the very difficult text, if I'm trying to read that, I can try and pronounce it, but no way will I understand. This comes later. This comes with a good understanding of the pronunciation first. So the decoding is the first part, and only once we can decode and your brain has then the capacity to try and understand, this is the next step. This is the higher level then. Yeah. I really think in every year group we can have children, or we can give each child a text that they are able to read but not understand. That's possible in every year group, even for us. We could read a really complex text out of a scientific book. We can read it, but we cannot understand it, right? So sometimes it's really important that you think your child is on level, let's say 4, go back to level 3 and read, decode, get that fluency so that the understanding can fall into place. All right. Yes, please. Yes. I don't think it will have a negative effect, but your child or your family will have a language of choice. This is the language that they fall into when they want to fluently speak or when they want to ask you a question. And the other one is the language that they need to think about while they're speaking it or while they're producing it.
But for us, parents, we can't support because we don't speak any French in the home. So, and especially for next year, we want to create one. So it'd be good to know what support the student, you know, because we can't give any support at home because we're not French teachers.
Is he in the bilingual stream? Okay. All right. So I think the support that you can give is being really enthusiastic about French. And really, like, even if he brings home the French booklets, that you are trying to also give that book time and have your son try and read out and maybe talk about the picture in English if you can, because, or maybe the little texts, maybe you can pronounce a few words in French. So I think your enthusiasm for the language will definitely resonate with your child. And I think exposure to, there's different websites because we are a very digital world. So if your child has digital time during the day, you can make that with a French component. I think that is important. But here's some more tips from my colleague.
Yes, you can. Sorry, you wanted to say?
Reading in French is not same as reading in English in KG2.
At the end of KG2, for example, so the program says that they need to know how to read simple syllables, simple, yeah, the complex phonics like ou, on, moi, en, est. That is taught in grade 1 and even reviewed in grade 2.
But in French reading, I don't know, because we don't speak French, and he says things. Of course, we're checking, we're following this with the teacher every day, so it's not that. But I was quite happy when you said you want to expect the same level of reading, because I was worried, hey, he's doing it in English reading, he's a English speaking child. Why not in French? Are we behind?
No, not at all. I can assure you in the French system or either like in the French speaking schools like in Switzerland, Canada or Belgium or France, the reading starts in grade 1. It actually starts in grade 1. So here, when I compare here with other French school, they are a little bit more advanced because they follow, you know. And also, there is one thing I want to add also is that they will never progress in both languages at the same time. So, for example, in grade 1 next year, you will have the first 3 months. You will feel like he has done a big progress in English, but nothing in French, which is totally normal because at that time he's learning. But at some point in January, you will see going one step up in French or either in English, you know, or German. They don't progress at the same speed at the same time. No, because they need they need time to d'emmagasiner les sons and then to be able to show what they have learned.
I would also like to share, there are many studies that have been made about second language learning. And so there's something called BICS. It's basic interpersonal communication skills. So that's just us talking in the playground or us talking in the staff room, talking about the weather and about the food and about my pets and about the children. This BICS basic interpersonal communication skills, if somebody is immersed in a fully French setting, let's say if your son was now in France, the whole environment is French, it will take him up to 2 years to develop those BICS, those basic interpersonal communication skills. It's quite a long time for a person to become fluent. Now take away that your son is not in France and his environment is not French. So the time to download may exceed those 2 years by a long shot, you see, because his environment is very English. The same goes for every other additional language that we are learning. We have something called the downloading phase. And then there's that personal resistance to speaking because we are afraid to make mistakes. If I'm a language learner and I'm put in a situation where I should speak, I should produce the language, there might be a bit of I might not be that self-confident, so that confidence needs to build as well, alongside with the language that they're developing. So I would suggest that we allow those children time to start to produce the language later on. Okay, it's the reading. Okay, yeah, okay, okay.
Or writing starts in grade 1.
Yes, yes. The same is also for the children that are in the German stream. It's very difficult for us teachers to find academic material because in kindergarten in Germany and in Switzerland, the children are mainly building their social skills and not their academic skills. So academic resources for the children in the German stream practically start when they're 6 and 7 years old. So for the kindergarten students, we are simplifying the academic resources that we have so they can access the alphabet and so forth. But in the German system, it only starts similar to the French when they're in grade 1.
Yes. No, we're teaching the British English and the British phonetical code. But when the children get older, maybe towards the end of primary and the beginning of secondary, we'll start to develop a bit of the American and the Canadian isms in there to be more a part of the global citizenship. But to starting to learn to read and understanding the grammatical processes is British.
All right, any more questions?
We will add our email addresses onto the end of the PowerPoint, so when it gets sent out to you, if you do think of anything else, then feel free to send us emails.
Thank you very much for your attendance this
Thank
morning.
you.
Thank you.